Today's video is going to be about making awesome generative glitches. And so with no further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to start off by getting two sine waves, and I'm going to crank their octaves really high up in the spectrum. And then I'm going to have one of them do phase distortion from B, and then the other one could be turned down as it's going to be just a modulator. And then let's create a really abstract shape here. I'm going to select ramp down and then hold Alt, Shift, and click to create these spikes. Click the point again and just select flat. And once again, Alt, Shift, and click to create some nice flat points. I'm going to create some imperfections in this shape, making little differences here and there. Maybe something like this, maybe a little curve. And then maybe this first point should be a nice ramp up like this, and move this over, change the amplitude, maybe change some of these curves around. Apply that onto the coarse pitch of this modulator, crank up the FM. And then play with the coarse pitch amount. Change it from BPM to Hertz mode and just play with the rate. So we're already getting some insane results there. Let's get a sample and hold and put that on the octave of the carrier. That can maybe be going up a few octaves. Fantastic. Maybe down again another octave. Let's get a sub involved, put that down one octave so it's in the sub register. I'm going to just immediately add some distortion onto this so we can meld those two sounds together. Let's maybe go with the soft saturation. Then I'm going to also have maybe a smooth sample and hold on Hertz mode, and also this square sample and hold I'll have on Hertz mode as well, so we can have some nice unsynced rates that we can modulate later on. So let's use the smooth sample and hold to apply to the FM. I'm going to maybe apply this first LFO onto the level of our first oscillator. Oh, actually, I'm going to have it go all the way, so then I can have the auxiliary source for the A level be the macro 1 control. And then I'm going to make a gritty wavetable here. I'm going to use the text to speech to type in a word in speech marks. Let's just use the word glitch because that's pretty appropriate. And then we've got these crazy wavetables, and I'm just going to select one of them. Doesn't really matter which one. I'll remove all except selected. I'll duplicate that and I'll generate a saw on the harmonics, and then I'll randomize all on the phases to make a nice jagged shape. And then I can use the smooth interpolate option on the wavetable position to move between these ridiculous shapes. And maybe I could apply that to our square sample and hold. Before I press play on this, I'm just going to create a modulation from macro 1 onto the level here, but going backwards this time. So this macro now controls whether we are on the gritty wavetable or on the sine wave glitch. What I'm going to do is use this all tab to remove the fundamental off of our wavetables because I don't want it to clash with the sub here. The sub is going to be providing all of that low end for us. And for our gritty wavetable, I'm going to maybe add a few unison voices. I'm going to create another sample and hold on Hertz mode also, and I'm going to just apply that to the macro, and then I'm going to go into the matrix and I can change the remap. So we've got a portion of it on the gritty tone and then the rest of it on the sine wave. I'm going to balance this a little bit by controlling the level a bit more, and I'm going to drop this gritty wavetable an octave so we're in a more appropriate register. Terrific. And now I want a sine wave shape on this LFO. Let's set that to Hertz mode once again, and I'm going to apply that to a further sample and hold, this one also on smooth and Hertz mode, because when we have all of these different unsynced rates, the chances of things interacting in more unpredictable ways is much greater. So now I'm going to use this sine wave to control a filter. C and A can go in the filter. I'm going to bring the resonance down with a steeper filter, bit of drive to that. I can control the range of that rate with this slider here. Now, to top off things on this page, I'm going to use FM from A and maybe assign the FM amount to our first one here. Terrific. One more thing, I might apply a little bit of bend to this. Let's just go into the matrix and change our remapping so we have slightly more of the gritty tone. Let's maybe assign one of these sample and holds, this smooth one maybe, to our bend control. And I think the rate of our LFO is going a little bit too high, so I'm just going to bring that down a little bit, maybe bring it to about 10 Hertz max. Moving on to the effects now, this is where everything really comes together. I'm going to start by applying a filter. This diffuser filter is perfect for creating these kinds of sci-fi textures. It just makes everything sound a bit more futuristic. Let's apply another filter. This is going to be a comb filter. This also adds a very Transformers-like edge to things. I'm going to just set that to 38 Hertz, which is D sharp. I'm going to duplicate this filter because that will enhance the effect. I'm going to maybe apply a little bit of the square sample and hold onto the resonance here. And I'm going to compress this very heavily with some multiband compression. And if I duplicate this effect, then it's going to bring up more and more of the very low volume sounds in here, and it's going to create a lot of very interesting textures. One more time. Let's add a bit crusher to this, because that is a staple of making very digital sounding effects. Attach that to the square sample and hold. Set this pre-filter on and high pass that. Maybe bring the mix out now. I might put that in between some of these compressors, so we're bringing up some of those weird artifacts and details. Fantastic. Let's add a flanger. Have the rate of this move, maybe with our first LFO. Let's add a delay, set this to unlinked and milliseconds mode, and I might just apply a couple of movements onto the milliseconds values. And yeah, why not attach something onto the mix here? Fantastic. This is already sounding absolutely ridiculous. Let's add a phaser, crank up the poles to a very high value. Let's have the depths move slightly. And why not have the rate move as well? As you can probably tell, I am making this up as I go along, but that is part of it, isn't it? Fantastic. Maybe add some hyperdimension for some more width. I'm going to apply another one of these sample and holds to the mix. And now I'm going to add a bit of a gating effect onto this by setting up an LFO on an 1/8. I'm going to apply a dip here, making sure to add a little fade because otherwise we're going to get some clicks when there's instant value jumps. I'm going to have an on-off switch with this using macro 2 attached to the Y of both of these points. This can be attached to the volume, Alt Shift and click to make that unipolar and bring it down to about 50%. Otherwise we'll start clipping, and then go into the matrix and set these points to unipolar and bring them up to 100%. That way, if the macro is down like this, then we have the gating effect. I might increase that to a 16th. And then if I bring the macro up, it's once again smooth. Now I can use one of these LFOs, maybe this second one, and I'm going to put that on backwards and then have a shape something like this without the instant jump because I don't want to have any clicks. Except I only want a smidge of this sound to have the gating effect on it. Fantastic. I'm going to just add a few final things to top this off. I'll add some more diffuser because you can't go wrong with that. Duplicate this to enhance the effect. Add more of that comb on here. Once again, 38 Hertz. Add one of these LFOs onto the resonance. Bit of compression to bring everything up now. Highs down just a little bit. Might add a bit of convolver to this just to add a little bit of variation in space. Go onto one of the reverbs, bring the size down, bring the decay down, apply some variation onto the decay, also some variation into the mix. Let's go with one of these sample and holds so we have various levels of reverberation. One final trick now is I like to go into the global tab, and there's this control here which allows you to change the rate of all of the LFOs simultaneously. So I'm going to just assign a macro onto this, set it to unipolar, set the starting point to maybe 75%, then dial back the maximum value with this slider here. Now what you do is you just record out a massive file and just play around with some of the parameters while you're recording it and embrace the chaos. Then you'd literally just go and cherry pick some of these epic portions of the sound. And then you could use those in your tracks as you see fit. You can use as much or as little of these sounds as you like, and you can also process them afterwards, pitch them around, so on and so forth. It's really endless. So that's going to conclude this video. Let me know what kind of sounds you'd like me to cover in the future. If you want to support the channel, you know how to do that. And I'll see you on the next video.